Hello, rodeo fans. Welcome back to the Short Round, the official podcast of the Canadian Professional Rodeo Association. I'm your host, Wacey Anderson, joined by my pal Clay Creasy. Clay, episode 26, we're approaching kind of the finals run 2.0 with the Maple Leaf Circuit Finals on the horizon and as well the National Finals Rodeo in Las Vegas. Just a short, I guess almost just a week away at this point, but yeah, it's going to be a busy few weeks here as we finish off 2024, and there's no better way to kick things off than with the Maple Leaf Circuit Finals at Canadian Western Agribition.
Absolutely. And it's kind of interesting, and you might think though the Maple Leaf Circuit Finals and the National Finals don't have a lot of overlap, but one of our contestants we're going to talk about here today, if it wasn't for that Maple Leaf Circuit Finals and qualifying for the NFR Open, he wouldn't be making a trip down to
Mm.
Vegas, and I wouldn't have to be having a birthday party for my son early so his kid could come.
Not naming
But
any names, but there's one
yeah,
fellow
no,
who
for sure.
yeah,
But
it's like you
absolutely.
mentioned, it's a great opportunity for contestants to get a jump start on 2025 and kind of solidify kind of really their CFR hopes and dreams. I know we talked about it a little bit throughout the season, like a guy like Scott Gunther, who you alluded to, and Jake Gardner, and another one is Strand Dunham, who had really big, and Kavis Draken and Ross too. At the end of the day, had
Mhm,
really big weeks
mhm.
in Regina, which would just kind of let them hit the ground running in 2025 and really kind of get a stranglehold in one of those top 12 spots heading into the CFR.
Yeah, it's not necessary to get there, but it's sure one of those things that for some of the guys that and girls that end up on the outside of it come next year, you look back and say, you know what? Maybe I need to make sure I'm getting here
Mhm.
and doing that. And on the flip side of things, I think there's quite a few contestants when we look here. Again, they didn't finish the year the way they wanted. I know on the website there the other day, Tyler Papascal was one of those names that I
Mhm.
actually had run into him the weekend after the CFR or the season had ended, and he had told me he had been on the outside, basically a broken barrier away from making it, but he was just looking forward to this event and this Maple Leaf Circuit Finals because you know what? You got to look on to the next year and you
Mhm.
control what you control, and it's a huge opportunity for contestants.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that some folks like that, or even a guy say like Cody Lamb or one of those the people who were at the CFR and had a good run, they can kind of pick up where they left off, and they don't really. And then for the people who just missed out, you don't have to wait around until the next season to get things happening. So it's a big opportunity, and obviously at one of the premier events in Western Canada. I think it's the largest agricultural show in North America, if I'm wrong. Someone can call me back on that if I'm wrong, but it's a huge show, takes place in Regina, Saskatchewan. I think there's 4 rounds of competition every night. You can catch it on the Cowboy Channel. It's gonna be really fun to watch, and the lineup of contestants is pretty stacked up, as we kind of alluded to. And things kick off tomorrow, Wednesday, November 27th. Clay, who do you got for some picks in the first round here? I guess we can get right into it.
And I bet there's probably some organizations in Texas that might have Regina beat
Yeah,
just from
fair.
a scale perspective, but it's a very, very well attended event. And it's a great thing. Again, I think we've spoken about this before to have the CPRA have a great partnership with Agribition. It's hard and historically it'd been tough to find a venue and a timing to make
Hmm.
this kind of year-end finals that was promoting the smaller rodeos like this one does. The top end fit into the SMS tour, whereas every other rodeo on the schedule that has 8,000 or less is what people got to go to
Hmm.
qualify for this. So they've tried that in the past, tried it in Calgary, didn't quite stick. And to have this partnership with Regina and be able to put on a rodeo of this magnitude that draws such a crowd and
Hmm.
everything, yeah, it's a great feather in the CPRA's cap and just a really good partnership. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I'll stop babbling.
No, no, no. It's
And
good. It's good.
yeah, yeah. And looking at some picks, I uh, I found it cool that Colton Olet, again, he had finished, well, the September rodeos were so strong for him.
Hmm.
He's a big, solid kid that has done a lot of damage in the amateur rodeos. He's got a cool horse, Outlaws called Zip Tie. I've always been a fan of that bloodline of horses. It actually traces back to an old mare they called Dress Code. I
Hmm.
got to get on her, I think, once or twice in college rodeo, but Dress Code had many colts that they've bucked for outlaw over the year. There was Barcode, Zip Code, and then Zip Tie goes still back to that bloodline. They go back to the Gene Allen string. He raised a lot of good horses over the years out in BC, and so I think that'll be kind of a neat matchup. Dallas Hay has got a horse called Gray Moon of Duffy's. I
Hmm.
checked with Dustin on this yesterday because they actually had one called Bay Moon that was in the bronc ride and had a
Hmm. Hmm.
sensational CFR. And both of these horses are full siblings that go back to a really super nice old mare of Duffy's they call Blue Moon. That I also got to get on her back in the rodeo days. She was a super sweetheart, but these ones are both out of Duffy Stud Boudelier, and they got a little more to them than the old sweetheart had. But yeah, it's going to be a great night. I mean, you got a bunch of good horses in there, and those are just a couple of horse names that jumped out. But like you said, Cody Lamb,
Hmm.
he's going to be riding that high, and I think he's going to be tough to beat. There's a few names from the CFR that we don't see here now for various reasons. I'm not too sure. Either they didn't qualify or
Hmm.
just
Banged up a little
whatever.
bit. Yeah.
So yeah, so I think there's definitely a chance for a guy like Cody with how well he rode at CFR to show up
Hmm.
here and just get the ball rolling for 2025.
Yeah, and looking down the list, it's every event is just jam packed with CFR contestants from this year, contenders, guys who just missed the cut. Like it's going to be huge. You look at the bronc riding: Lucas Moxa, Nick Patterson, Cole Ashbacker, Sawyer Erickson, Leighton Green, Dawson Dom, Kyle Wanchuk. Like that's a as good of a set of bronc riders you're going to get anywhere you go down the road. And same with the bull riding. You got the newly crowned Canadian champ, William Barrows, rookie of the year Grady Young, two-time champ Edgar Durazo, Corey Robbins is there, Jake Gardner, Tyler Craig, Bo Gardner. It's huge. And same with the timed events. You got Strand Dunham, um, Kyle Lucas, Logan Bird. Man, it's just we could sit here and list off all the great contestants. Scott Gunther's coming back to the finals this year. Stephen Culling, Leonard Beersworth, Shuckburg, Cassidy, Curtis Cassidy. Like we could,
Yeah.
it's going to be awesome. So if you're looking for something to kind of scratch the rodeo itch before we get into Vegas, the Maple Leaf Circuit Finals is definitely going to be there for you, and it's gonna be awesome. That Penn's is set up really to be for the timed events. Is set up to have quick timed events. We saw, I think the Canadian record in team up was set in Regina a couple years ago. Earlier this year, Shea Beaver tied her at that time record with 1.6 seconds in the breakaway roping in Regina. So I mean, the timed events are going to be no walk in the park for these folks, and it's just going to be an awesome week of competition in Regina.
Absolutely. And I think the bronc riding, as strong as the number of CFR contestants, I mean, the top six is all from the CFR, but then you
Hmm.
do see some people, again, Dawson Dom and Kyle Wanchuk were right in the race to the last weekend and got
Hmm.
bumped. But they're looking to change things there. And the bull riding, I mean, almost the full lineup there competed at the CFR, except a couple of them. And
Hmm.
the ones that didn't, I mean, they're pretty strong, I think, PBR contestants that just maybe didn't go to have the luck they wanted. And when we first saw the list come out of qualifiers here, Jared Parsonage had still been on that bull riding list, but obviously that injury must still be something he's recuperating from.
Hmm.
Ironically enough, that rolled William Barrows in again for these finals. So it'll be interesting to see how that rolls in and goes on. And yeah, no, looking through the list, I think a few other names I noticed. There's the Austin Hines and Bailey Smith, who is actually Bailey Hines, married Clayton Smith there, the one calf roper, the
Hmm.
brother sister team that qualified here in their respective events. So should be a good race. You got guys like Denver Roy, and again, just kind of drawing some of those names. I think from the barrel race, and the one name that I remember was Blake Molly had done really
Hmm.
well in one of the first performances there in Armstrong. With everything, the way the rodeo sped up and stuff there, she got bumped out. But her and Lisa Zakota qualifying for this, maybe a little redemption and something they can kind of make up for here at this event. And that team rope, and I had reached out to Rob Schmidt, and I mean, there's tons of storylines there
Oh
in some
yeah.
of the partnerships, and yeah, some of the people there that Logan Cullen I had saw for all of the futurities, like the rope horse futurities and stuff. I mean, he made almost, I think, twice as much as anybody else
Yeah.
going to those. Made almost 90,000
Oh, that's
roping at
wild.
those things this year. So you've got a guy like him,
Man,
as
you
you
gotta
mentioned.
watch Grady Quam and Brady Chappell. Brady Chappell has won like
Man, yeah,
an insane amount of go arounds in the CCA finals in that building and titles in that
yeah.
building. So that's a place where Brady's very comfortable roping, and I think you'll see some fast time from those boys. Grady's a hand.
Well, and they did a great job at the CFR together and roped real well. One thing Rob pointed out is Colton Schmidt and Tyrell Flewelling kind of reunited for these
Hmm.
finals. Tyrell helped Colton get to his first CFR and win his first Canadian title, so that was definitely a cool one to see. The Schmidts, as you alluded to, that Canadian record of 3-3 there that they set, they're back in here to do some damage. And I know, yeah, that couple of years ago, it was like the first four rodeos, those guys just knocked it out of the park and
Hmm.
everything. So it's that team roping is going to be tough. The other one, the McLeod brothers are roping together.
Yeah.
Uh, Tyson T are paired up there, and so yeah, that I think that team roping is going to be pretty deadly.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch. And like we said before we move on here, Clay, it's the first performance goes down tomorrow night, Wednesday, November 27th at 6:45 p.m. Mountain Time, I guess would be 7:45 Central Time or whatever Saskatchewan's on. I don't know what the date, what their day. They don't do daylight savings time, so they're on the same as us. But you can catch all the action on the Cowboy channel, so tune in. Probably going to be on the Cowboy Channel Plus app, so just hop in there and it'll have everything you need and be able to keep up with Rob Schmidt on the mic and the crew, the C5 crew over there in Regina. So it should be shaping up to be a great week of rodeo in Regina. But anyways, Clay, I think that's going to bring us to our interview this week. We got the GM, the fearless leader of the Canadian Professional Rodeo Association, Denny Phipps, joining us for a quick state of the nation and kind of wrapping up CFR 50 and looking ahead to what we have the rest of 2024 and into 2025. And it was a great interview. And I'm glad he took the time to sit with us, and we will catch y'all right after this. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the short round. I am pleased to be joined this week by the one and only, the fearless leader of the CPRA, Denny Phipps. Denny, it's been a while since we had a little check-in here, but it'll be fun to catch up and kind of recap everything that's happening and look forward to everything that's going to happen in the rodeo world. But first off, how's things in your world?
You want to know what? They've been great. It's been a really unique situation having the CFR move earlier. And having a little bit of time between the Maple Leaf Circuit Finals and the CFR has allowed us to get some business done, which has been nice.
It's a classic Alberta fall when with the past years in Red Deer, it's been snowy and rainy and yucky during the CFR, but now it's been, you look back at the first part of November here when the CFR would have been, it was probably one of the nicest Novembers we've had in a long time, but beggars can't be choosers. It was still a great weather up in Edmonton. But yeah, it's kind of been a weird lull, but also a nice lull between the CFR and Maple Leaf Circuit Finals. It allows everybody kind of let their dust settle a little more than usual.
A little bit. It let some bumps and bruises heal on some guys. I know that this year we were just talking in the office yesterday about how because we always had entries for the Maple Leaf Circuit Finals before the CFR happened, and then inevitably we'd lose a handful of guys, and then scrambling on who the replacements are and getting jackets and stuff like that sorted out for them. So to be able to finish the CFR and guys could go, yeah, you know what? I'm not healthy. I'm not entering at all. And we had a couple of those, but not many. Luckily, the CFR was pretty. Um, the CFR itself was pretty darn. The guys came out fairly healthy.
Hmm.
I think on Saturday night we were only down two contestants, which is the least I ever remember. I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's the least, but it's usually three, four, five by the time we hit Saturday night or in the past Sunday. So that was a neat situation. So I think it's really going to bode well for the Maple Leaf Circuit Finals as well, having all those guys and girls healthy, help their horses ready to roll, not spinning around straight away and going from two different setups either.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it quite a bit heading into the CFR of how kind of going in right after the season was over. kind of having that momentum. But I think now, like you say, it's good for everybody to have a break and rest up and get healed up for what's coming with the Maple Leaf Circuit Finals. But yeah, it's going to be in good shape. But before we get to the Maple Leaf Circuit Finals, Denny, I want to go back to
Yes.
CFR. It was CFR 50 was a milestone year for the CFR, a big year back in Edmonton, and I just kind of want to go over with you like what went well to off like through your lens, and what were some of the highlights for you that week in Edmonton.
Well, you want to know what? It was just a really, really cool experience. I said right from the get-go, I was really excited to see the city of Edmonton and how they were going to get involved and engage and activate and stuff like that. Not the rodeo itself, but kind of, and it was really cool. You went into the hotels and they were decked up. You seen downtown business people in jeans during the week and celebrating CFR and Rodeo Week, and just it was on the tail of the CCMAs, which was a nice little rollover, and then rolled into the PBR finals as well. So Edmonton really had a month and a half of Western lifestyle sports, and it was pretty cool to be a part of it and see the city get behind it. I've talked to a lot of people in the city, both stakeholders and just fans alike, and it was really cool to hear how excited they were. Um, Obviously, you're going to have detractors with moving the dates and
Mm-hmm.
reducing a perf, but I think once people realize that no, the money actually went up a little bit, not a lot, but went up a little bit, and they only had to compete once less. A lot of the contestants, not all the contestants, but a lot of the contestants they're like, oh yeah, this winning 11,000 a round is pretty darn cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it paid 16.6 in the average. So there's a lot of people that won a lot of money, and it was cool to see that. But the thing that I really, really found cool as far as from the fan perspective was the number of young, I'd say 25 and under, um, city folks that were guys and gals that were at the rodeo, just
Mm-hmm.
coming out to have a good time on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, uh, and just seeing them there, having a beer, having some nachos, enjoying something that they maybe have never seen before. And it was
Mm-hmm.
really cool to see that. I didn't know how. I knew we'd have our rodeo fans show up, and the people that remember the CFR in Edmonton show up, the business community, but I didn't know what the youth was going to look like. And I was really, really impressed with that. And I think it's something we can really, really grow on and build new rodeo fans. And I genuinely believe rodeo is the best spectator sport. I believe it's the best sport in the world, but also the best spectator sport in the world. So the more eyes we can get on it, it's really, really exciting to see that side of things. So that was really, really exciting to see. Obviously, there was you didn't know what you didn't know. And getting into the building and having to do it on a short turnaround. And Tanner Gerlitz put together, and Amanda Freegon, they put together a dirt team and a steel team, and that group really worked their tails off to make that arena right. And they, after the first night ran long. It was first night jitters, first night hiccups, stuff like that. But they went and they changed a bunch of the steel after the first night to make it easier for the time to make cattle to leave, to make it easier for the barrel racing horses to come in. So it's just those little
Mm-hmm.
adjustments throughout were really, really cool to see. And then last year we started at 0 or step 1, and this year I think we're going to start at about step 8 or 9, which is a pretty exciting for someone like myself.
Well, I think it was a good year to build that foundation of what,
Yeah.
yeah, like you say, what's to come. Like you say, get that 8 steps ahead, because I think maybe something that was maybe overlooked is like that's the first time they have had rodeo in Rogers. I know the building was designed for it, but that's the first time they've actually had a rodeo in there. And I
Yep.
mean, the steel and the ground crew, they had, what was it, 24 hours or less than 24 hours to put steel and dirt in to get it ready to rodeo on Wednesday.
In the end, they actually would have had about 25 hours because we got it an hour early, but they actually did it in about 21 hours.
Hmm.
So we did get an extra hour, but they also exceeded expectations. So yeah, it
Hmm.
was, and just the dirt was fresh and new. Just kind of the whole process. Jason with OCD Earthworks, he was our ground superintendent. This was his first CFR, and he did an amazing job.
Hmm.
Kudos to OCD Earthworks. Um, but he'd never been a part of that as well. We'd never been a part of it, so we were also learning to work together as well. So there's things like that, and hats off to Jason and his team as well.
Yeah, when you could just see it throughout the week, the momentum that would build, like from the production, from the contestants, from everything, like big moment after big moment, and kind of everything just came together. By Saturday night, it was rocking in there. The crowd was into it. It was the biggest crowd I've seen at a CFR in a long time, and I mean probably the most engaged too. Like there was actually some like really good energy in the building, which I thought was
There
great.
was.
And then and I think we can get into this the part of like the actual competition side of the coin where we saw some of the biggest moments in pro rodeo Canada history, CFR history, and it just kind of helped put the cherry on top of what was a great CFR 50.
It really did. It was really, really exciting to see. We purposefully didn't open the second deck until the first deck was essentially full. And Friday night and Saturday night we opened that second deck. Saturday afternoon we probably could have, but
Mhm.
we got to that point pretty late in the game to try and market those. Or explore it to for Explore Edmonton to market those. But Friday night and Saturday night we opened up, and on Saturday night we actually opened up both sides
Yeah.
of the building, which exceeded my expectations. I think we were 12-5
Mhm.
butts in seats on Saturday night, which that's a for year one, that's a pretty exciting number to
Oh
see.
wow. Yeah.
I think we were 42,000 over the week, and obviously the Wednesday, Thursday, which are always our lightest nights. And we gotta work to get more butts in seats those nights, especially the city people. But it's really, really exciting to see the growth. I think we were 42,000 attendance for the week, and my goal was 40 to 42,000. So I was pretty much right on par. And so I
Mhm.
was pretty darn excited to see those numbers and hit those numbers, and just from top to bottom, talking with the Edmonton Destination Marketing Group people, Explore Edmonton, our partners, the people at Rogers Place. It was just a really, really exciting week, and pretty much across the board positives, which is really, really cool to see because you never know what you're going to get into. You never know the people
Mhm.
you're going to be working with. And um, it really, really worked forward. The action was fantastic. I had one contractor who was skeptical about the date change originally. He's like, if you try and change this, I might fist fight you because this has been so good for my horses. um, so there's that. Like the horses, they're not haired up. They haven't been on feed. They've been just coming straight off of it. So I really thought that you seen that action. Not that in Red Deer and in Edmonton previously, Canada's got the best bucking horses and some of the best bucking bulls in the world. So
Mhm.
those horses and bulls were going to show up anyways. But just to have them that little bit more in rodeo shape, I think
Mhm.
just took it to another level. And it was really, really awesome to see. And then you had, I don't know about the bull riders, I can't recall, but the bronc riders and the bareback riders, they both knowing that they were taking one round off the table and one pen of horses was only going to be bucked once, both groups stepped forward and said, no, we're getting on the buckers twice.
Mhm.
So they only got on the hoppers one time, and they put the gauntlet down for themselves, and that just shows the character of them. They wanted to put themselves against those best, strongest horses in the world, and uh, hats off to them. And I think it really showed in the quality of the event.
Oh yeah, across the board, the rough stock was great. The timed event was awesome.
Like Macy Eclair, look at like
Oh
wow.
yeah, I was just going to go right to that. Like she obviously set an earnings record in the breakaway roping, and it was historical having as part of the CFR for every performance. And then she comes in, shoots out the lights pretty much every round of the event, and then obviously that big night on Friday night where she breaks the record and kind of sets the tone for the rest of her week. But that was something that was probably one of my favorite moments from the whole week. But yeah, what was your thoughts on I guess having breakaway in for the whole thing? I guess to start off with, and then obviously what Macy did there that week.
So it was really exciting. When I started this job a couple years ago, one of the first questions I got, maybe even my second week on the job, and I don't remember who it was.
Hmm.
They said, "Well, why can't we have 12 breakaway ropers at the CFR?" And I said, "I I don't know." And so I started investigating, and so that year, talked to the board. Yep, everyone was on board. We brought 12 girls, which was awesome, and we brought them for 3 rounds. And then last year we had them for same thing, and then wanting to continue growing the sport. And yeah, the CPRA put some money into the plot. They're still kind of adjacent of the CFR agreement, and they raised a bunch of the money themselves. But we've been slowly working them more and more into under the umbrella of the CFR, which has been exciting. But getting them into all 5 performances was really something that I was really excited about.
Hmm.
I think it's such a boon for the sport of rodeo. as a dad of a 6-year-old girl, the more exposure you can see to strong, independent, competitive women, I think, and role models, I think is only great for those young girls. You've got rodeo queens and you've got barrel racers, and now you've got breakaway ropers just in the sport of pro rodeo, which for my little girl, that's a big boon. So I'm a big believer in that. And she hasn't showed much interest in um, roping or riding or anything like that. We don't have a horse in the backyard, but just having those girls, she really does look up to them, and she wants to watch the barrel racing and she wants to watch the breakaway roping. So it's really important for me to continue to grow that sport. I think it's really, really exciting to see it. Girls like Macy just really, really coming in and shooting the lights out.
Oh
Lakota Bird,
yeah.
who's been a fantastic leader for that group. You got Lori Saunders, who comes from a basketball background. And then Brady Whiteside and Kylie Whiteside just kicking butt at 2 events. So
Hmm.
it's been really Bobby Henderson as well. It's been really, really cool to see this development and this growth, and giving them more opportunities, bringing more girls into the sport. I think rodeo is one of the best lifestyles someone can live, and being able to provide the CPRA have that opportunity, because it's certainly not me that's providing it. It's the rodeo committees, it's the contestants, it's the sponsors, it's the contractors. But being able to be a small part of that is pretty darn cool. So the breakaway roping was um, pretty cool. The other for me, Cody Lamb, someone I watched come up. I remember him when he was in the novice. Um, long hair and brown jeans and spraying the hair off everything. And I just remember really thinking this kid's going to be something someday. And watching all the challenges, the injury troubles that he's had, seeing his growth as a person. He's just a really, really good person.
Hmm.
And to see him be able to kind of lay the gauntlet down in what's his hometown, really. And he's a huge Oilers fan. And I felt that he's been on the cusp of a Canadian title for a very, very long time. To see him finally get that across the finish line, breaking the arena record, and I think the Canadian record on Virgil in his hometown rodeo, that was a really special moment for me, because I've watched that kid right from day one, uh, right when he was just starting out, and he's always had a lot of potential. So that was a pretty special moment for me personally. I traveled with Cody a little bit. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was you couldn't have scripted a better story there with Cody, and you could kind of see it coming. Like that first night, he made a good ride, and the second night makes another good ride, and then Friday night, Virgil just kind of blew the roof off it. But that was, yeah, that's definitely a highlight for me as well. Like just seeing it all come together for Cody was probably one of the most special things of that
Well,
whole
and
week.
especially with like last year, he dominated the regular season. He really did, and then
Hmm.
got hurt late in the year, came into the CFR, just beat beat to crap last year, and
Hmm.
um wasn't even able to finish the CFR, and your heart just broke for him. And then he didn't start the year. He started late, and then he wasn't winning at the start of the year. And it was kind of July. I don't even know if he was in the top 12 until we hit after mid-July.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then he just started rolling, and you seen this groundswell coming, and that train that Cody Lamb was, you seen that if he could draw the right horses, and him drawing Virgil was pretty cool, because he told me last year at the start of the year, he goes, I'm just going to enter every C5 rodeo that Virgil's going to be at, because eventually I'm going to draw that horse.
Yeah.
So to
Yeah.
see it come to fruition at the CFR was pretty
Oh,
darn cool.
it's perfect. So now we kind of put to bed CFR 50. It's time to start looking ahead to CFR 51. I know it's kind of one of those things like Calgary, Pinoca, all these big rodeos, big events. The planning doesn't stop. It's a 365 day a year job. But what are you looking ahead for CFR 51, and kind of what's on your radar as we look ahead to 2025?
Well, it's I like how you say that, because when the board and decided that we were going to make the move to Edmonton and our dates were changing, I looked at Tracy Bednar, who's the CFR of CEO of Explore Edmonton, and I said, "Okay, Tracy, we're a month behind. What are we going to do now?" And she goes, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, normally we start planning the day after CFR, and we're moving it up a month." So we were on a pretty truncated timeline, but I'm really, really excited to um number one, see, now everybody's seen this. We're in one of the best buildings in the world, bar
Hmm.
none.
Hmm.
Um, and people are seeing that, and that's pretty exciting. The money is going to continue to grow, I hope, a little by little. Provide more opportunities. I think you're going to see more people making the Canadian finals a priority, which is obviously going to be good for our rodeos. But just the opportunity to already be having planning sessions, looking at like ticketing, hopefully, like obviously getting tickets out earlier so people can go through that process. Continue on that groundswell now that it's been there. People in Edmonton have been talking about it, and hopefully we can grow that. The hooks and everyone, not a CPRA item, but hopefully to see the growth of the Canadian Country Expo. I think having those auxiliary events are really, really important. Obviously, we don't have a hand in those, but I do think they're really important to provide an experience to the fans and give fans a reason to be in town. Obviously, the rodeo's the draw, but you need something for them to do during the day, so that's really exciting. But as far as rodeo as a whole, like 2024 was like we've had a couple years of really, really exceptional years in a row. 2023, we paid out just $6.9 million to contestants through the year. 2024, the numbers are still haven't been finalized. Our year end is November 30th, so we're still I've got a number and I'm pretty confident in the number, but I want to be 100% confident. But we're going to be over $7.4 million in payout in 2024 to the contestants, which is just like it's really, really exciting for those contestants to have those opportunities. And obviously those numbers are driven by the committees, the number of rodeos we have, the special events, the amount of money they're putting up, but also the contestant entries. Contestant entries, I think we hit 19,000 entries this year.
Wow.
Or right in there. So it's obviously breakaway roping has a part in that, bringing in a new event. But it's not making up the whole it's not making up all the difference. We're still setting records, even if you take the breakaway numbers out. So it's barrel racing. We had, I think Sundry had 212 barrel racers or something like that.
It was huge, man. Yeah.
Well,
and you have these big rodeos adding more money. Like that's gonna draw more people in no matter what. Like we have so many of our rodeos are in that class of the best in the world, and it's showing through with the amount of people coming to compete at them.
It is. We've got, I think, 17 tour rodeos last year, which means they've got $8,000 added or more. And lots of those have 8,000. Lots of them have more. But 17, you only need to go to 15 rodeos to make the Canadian finals. So you don't even have to. And our Maple Leaf Circuit finals, if you swept those, you're going to win $8,000. So there's also that carrot to want to get to those non-tour rodeos, because for our circuit, we don't count those tour rodeos at this time. So we've got a lot of opportunity. Like I think like Zeke Thurston cracked $100,000 this year, I believe. So and in the bronc riding, like it's a push. The guys aren't going to their 15 rodeos. They're going to 18, 19, 20 events because you have to. And it's exciting to see. I'm a big believer in iron sharpens iron. We've got 5 Canadians going to the NFR this year in the bronc riding, which, if I'm not mistaken, over the last 4 years, I think we've had 10 different bronc riders go to the Canadian finals or the national finals. Which is just like, it's pretty fun when you roll into a small town in Western Canada and see the world champion pour out, and then you see Leighton Green come out and Colby Wanchuk, and they've brought Sage Newman with them, and the Hay brothers, and it goes on, and bronc riding really, really is. Bronc riding is synonymous with rodeo in Canada. It just always has been, going back to the Mel Highlands and Winston Bruce's and all of the legends of the sport, the Wayne Volds, all of these legends that just Rod Hay. I can't even say that list without mentioning Rod Hay. To me, the best bronc rider to never win a world title. But just, we've got this list, and you see these bronc schools, and there's lots and lots of kids coming up. You're seeing amateur rodeos having big numbers in the bronc riding again. And I'm hopeful that you're seeing, like, Cody Lamb put on a school this past weekend. He said there was a couple really good kids, said they bucked lots of horses. So I'm hopeful. Obviously our numbers in the bareback riding's down,
Hmm.
or it's the event's hurting, no question about it. It and trying to figure out a way to bring more kids into the sport is really, really important. To see people like Cody, Jake Vold does a fantastic job as well.
Hmm.
Um, bring more people into the sport and bring people into just the rough stock end of things. Obviously, our numbers are really, really strong in most of the timed events. I know that there's people working really, really hard on the bulldogging side of things too, because their numbers have waned a little bit. They just have longer careers.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to and watching is the numbers of the kids coming up.
Hmm.
Uh, our novice bareback riding numbers weren't real strong. We had really good numbers in the novice bronc riding, but the thing that was really, really exciting was the number of steer riders we had last year.
Yeah.
Like I know that one rodeo I think had 34 steer riders entered.
It was crazy how many kids were
And
going.
and there's lots of great contact contractors, but I'm gonna call out Dwayne Ashbacker. He does a really good job of keeping quality that is gonna help these kids grow
Hmm.
and grow into be the next open contestant, whether it's a bareback rider, saddle bronc rider, or, and I'm going to go back, like you've got guys like Mark Nugent, who was a Canadian champion boy steer rider, and then he rolled over and he was a Canadian champion tie down roper. Um, I can't remember. Yeah, so it's I can't remember what year, but yeah, it's just you see these kids and getting these kids into and youth rodeo. It's so exciting to see these all these youth rodeo groups and um see my son started getting on a few steers and we went to some youth rodeos this summer and the number of kids there just really, really exciting, and the parents that are giving of their time and the ag societies and the groups that are trying to provide opportunities. I'm just really, really excited about the future of rodeo. I'm excited
Hmm.
about the here and the now and the growth. And a lot of that is due to the contestants we have and the committees we have and the partners we have, but most importantly, the fans that want to come out and watch rodeos, because if the fans aren't coming, those rodeos can't grow.
Right.
Um, and I tracked numbers this year. I had rodeos send me their attendance numbers, and I haven't finalized them, but that'll be for our next call.
Yeah.
Um,
We'll
but
do a year in review and we'll get the numbers to the people.
yeah, but I was blown away by the attendance numbers
Hmm.
that these rodeos across the board had, and I think it's really, really exciting that people are coming out to live sporting events. I think after COVID, everybody really missed it. They realized much they missed it, and
Hmm.
rodeo athletes are, to me, the most relatable professional athletes that there are. So it's really exciting to see that.
Yeah, it's definitely it's one of a kind. The people involved are the best in the biz. You kind of hinted on the Maple Leaf Circuit Finals. That's coming up, I guess, at the end or middle of next week. Starts the first round goes Wednesday, 27th, if I'm not mistaken.
It
Um,
does.
yeah. So, anyways, we got our roster, we got everything out there. It's Ready to Rumble is kind of the first big event of 2025. But can you kind of touch on what's on the line for these contestants and maybe some people who you can highlight on the roster that'll be competing in
Yeah,
Regina next
so
week?
absolutely. So it's really exciting. The NF the NFR Open is the national circuit finals. It happens in July in Colorado Springs. And the overall season champion, including the finals, and the finals average champion from the Maple Leaf circuit, they get to go down and represent Canada or the Maple Leaf circuit at that event. Assuming that they have their rodeo count and they've got their PRCA or WPRA card. Um, but that event pays huge, huge money. Scott Gunther went down last year. I think he won 15 or 16,000, and without it, he wouldn't be at the NFR.
Yeah,
He was
exactly.
he was able to make the NFR, not entirely, but mostly on Canadian rodeos and the NFR Open. So that's a really, really big opportunity. But also, all that money counts to the Canadian standings, counts to the world standings. So it's a really good chance to get a kickoff on the start of your year as well. I know we've got a couple bareback riders that didn't get their rodeo count, but we are short bareback riders.
Hmm.
Um, and then we've got a handful of people that don't have their PRCA card. But of the 90 contestants, I want to say probably 75 of them are eligible to move on. They are PRCA or WPRA members. So though that money can really make a difference in them getting into the San Antonios and the Houstons and the Fort Worths, making it to the NFR Open for that opportunity,
Hmm.
competing against all the other circuits. So it's just there's a lot on the line, but there's just also a lot of money to be won.
Yeah.
And I know, like you look at, like I'm gonna highlighting a couple of contestants, like uh, in the bronc riding, you've got Leighton Green and Cole Ashback or Lucas Moxa, like Dawson Dom. Like you've got these great bronc riders, and that's not even counting the five that are going to the NFR.
Yeah, it's wild.
You got the reigning Canadian champion Cody Lamb in the bareback riding.
Hmm.
Blake Link and Dallas Hay are super tight for that first place overall. So I think that's going to be a pretty big battle through the week. In the bull riding, you've got the veteran Edgar Durazo at the top of the list. You've got Grady Young right there, who when he's on, that kid can, I
It can
think, ride
ride.
it, ride a dragon.
Yeah.
Jake Gardner, like Coy Robbins.
When
You've
you look
got
at I'll stop you here quickly at Jake, but he like you look at Jake last year, he won nearly 9,000 out of there last year, and that propelled the season that he had. He won the season leader in the CPRA, and he was, I guess, ended up 18th or 17th in the PRCA World Standings. Like he was knocking on the door of his first NFR, and that a lot of that is owed to the week he had in Regina.
100%. I think he ended up missing it because there was an injury. Creek Young broke his femur, so he had to
Right.
pull out of the NFR. So I think he actually ended up missing the NFR by like $1,200 or something like
Yeah.
that. So it really kickstarted Jake's year. And then like in the timed events, you've got basically a lot of our CFR contestants just rolled straight over to the Maple Leaf Circuit
Yeah.
finals. Um, just because of the competition level. Those guys had to go to 25, 30 rodeos, if not more, to make the CFR. And
Yeah.
that also drove them to the CFR Maple Leaf Circuit finals. And these guys and girls, this really can set up their season. Like if um, you think about the how tight everything was at the end of the season.
Yep.
If you go out and win $5,000 in November in Regina, that can go a long way and reduce a lot of stress come
Oh my
August next
gosh.
year.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's gonna be crazy. And you got, like you say, you got some of the big attack. You got the Canadian champion Kavish Drake, Denham Ross is coming back there. They had a big week there last year at the
Huge.
finals. Another kid who was I just looking at
Well, and last
Strand
year,
Dunham is another one too, had a
oh,
big week, and that like those weeks they had in Regina, like again, they propelled the season, and that's how they eventually get into the CFR. Like there's a lot on the line next week in Regina.
100%. And like you look at last year, Kavis Drake wasn't even old enough to have a PRCA card.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy,
Otherwise,
man.
he would have qualified for the NFR Open. Um, and yeah, you've got like yeah, I think we had two champions at the NFR Open last year that qualified through obviously Regina, and
Hmm.
it's going to be a big game changer. And there's people here that next week in Regina that they are looking to either continue on the success that they had in Edmonton, redeem themselves because they didn't have a great week in
Hmm.
Edmonton, or the people that are really interesting to watch to me are the ones that just missed out on Edmonton and
Ah,
they don't want that feeling again.
yeah, yeah. No, that's a good way to summarize it. There's so many different storylines and factors to watch. It's kind of like a mini CFR, if you will. Um, for those who want to tune in and watch who can't make it to Regina, how can they do that?
Just through the Cowboy channel, obviously. If you click on the CPRA website, rodeocanada.com, on the top banner, there's a watch button, and you can go straight to the Cowboy channel from there, and it'll be available there. Uh, so yeah, everyone who's got a subscription to the Cowboy channel, it'll be available just like all of the other circuit finals. It's really exciting to watch, and then just kind of, good luck to everybody next week.
Yeah, it's gonna be great to watch. I'm excited to see how everything turns out. And again, like see who comes out kind of with that step ahead when it comes to the 2025 race to CFR 51. Moving on, Danny, let's talk about Vegas. I know you kind of mentioned we have five bronc riders going in. We got Scott Gunther, we got two gals in the breakaway opening on our side. It's gonna be an awesome. It's shaping up to be another great
Reigning world champion
exactly, reigning world champion. Zeke's looking to go back to back. It's shaping up to
back.
be yeah, back to back to back. Yeah, that's true. It's shaping up to be an outstanding week or 10 days in Vegas. I know I'm excited to be down there. You're gonna be down there for a few days, but what are some of the things you're looking forward to at this year's NFR?
You want to know what? We've got such a strong group, and it was really, really um I just want to say how proud guys like Oren Larson and Jake Gartner made all of Canada,
Oh,
watching them battle right to the very bitter end, and
hmm
it didn't work out for them. And I know that they'll be back all next year, and they'll be right there in the hunt, if not at the NFR. But just everybody's as proud as can be.
hmm
Oren has made 9 consecutive NFRs and just has been and continues to be one of
And
the
he missed the
absolute.
first third of the season. I think people need to know that too. And he was right there the whole way. So that's an amazing feat in itself.
Yeah, he did. He is he's he's been one of the top bareback riders for a decade, and it's been really, as a bareback rider, it's just been, he's really been one of those shining stars that you can show to the young kids on, here's the life that is possible through this
Hmm
sport. But to focus on those that are going to be competing in Vegas, um obviously Shelby and Kendall, they're going to be competing at the breakaway finals at the South Point. Both of them had great week or great 2 days there last year. Shelby obviously being a world champion, so it was really cool to see that and really exciting to watch her go in and defend her title. Watch Kendall come in. I think she's coming in 11th, and now she's got a year under her belt. Her horse has a year under her belt. I think Kendall Pearson's going to be someone to really watch
hmm
out for in those 2 days. And at watching her kind of as she's grown up a little bit, um, not much phases that girl,
Oh,
and
it's crazy.
there's ice water running through it. I'm really excited to see that. Obviously, there's a lot of money for those girls to win there. And then when you hit Thursday and you get into the Thomas and Mack, you've got Scott Gunther, who's just such a cool story, who semi-retired after his last NFR. Um, Probably last year he won so much money in Canada that he was in the hunt for the NFR, and he never decided to go. This year, he decided, oh, he went. I think he went to Houston and the NFR Open and maybe
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
rodeo, and then in the fall he did. He's like, oh shit, I'm in the top 15. I guess I better go rodeo with it. And he made it, and it was really exciting. But I don't know that there's been many people make the NFR on that few,
Oh,
going to
that's
that
wild.
few of the rodeos. I talked to him. I don't even know where it was. I talked to him. Armstrong, I talked to him. I'm like, okay, Scott, you're still driving out to Morris. Why don't you draw a circle? That's the distance of Morris, and just go to the ones that are in that circle.
Yeah.
You can put your limit on the distance to Morris, but you may as well go everything in that circle.
Yeah, 100%.
Um, but I'm really excited because it's been a few years since he's been there. The money has increased drastically since he's been
Mhm.
there. Obviously, he rides one of the best horses in the world, and I don't think much phases him.
No. And
He,
he's done lots of winning between the last time he was there and now too. So I think he's kind of maybe not saying that he didn't know how to win before, but there's just that next level I think he can get to.
exactly. There's not anything in Scott Gunther's resume that he needs to prove. So
No.
he's just gonna go. I think he's gonna have a great week. And then the bronc riding. Well, a third of the field is Canadian, so I expect about I'm guessing more than a third of the money comes home to Canada with them.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's fun because you've got the Hay brothers, and obviously the last time Logan was there, I think he finished second in the average to Zeke, and I think he finished second or third in the world, and he won 3 consecutive go rounds.
hmm
And he just really said, "You want to know what? I'm here too," and uh, and I think he's since that point in time, he's only continued to grow as a bronc rider, and he's one of the most, if not the most exciting bronc riders when they're on, and Dawson's right there with them. Logan's coming off, and people don't realize this because Zeke dominates Canada
Yeah.
so much. Is Logan's won back-to-back average champions at the
Yeah.
CFR.
Yeah. It's such a sneaky little thing that I even forgot that he won it last year in Red Deer. But yeah, he's been like one of the most consistent guys we've
Like,
had going for a while.
and without getting injured last year, he would have been there last year. And then you've
Hmm
got Dawson Hay, who just lays everything on the line every single
Yeah.
time. And if there was an embodiment of full send always, it might be Dawson Hay.
hmm Yeah, he doesn't mess
Um,
around.
and then you've got Colby Wanchuk, who um you've got Colby, you've got uh
Ben Anderson.
Zeke, and Ben Anderson. Like that family thing is pretty cool with Ben and the Hay brothers. But then you've got Zeke just being Zeke, and he's chasing history, destiny. I don't know what you want to call it, but um that guy just gets up in the morning and is excellent at what he does.
Yeah.
And it's really, really exciting because I really do think that he's put this, not just Canadian bronc riding, but bronc riding on his back and said,
Oh
this
man.
is what I'm going to do, keep up or don't.
Yep.
And it's really raised that bar for everybody, both sides of the line. Obviously, and not as much this year, but you've got between the bronc riders in Utah and the bronc riders in Canada, that's a pretty good swath of.
Oh man. That's great.
And
And
you got like Wyatt Casper, like he had a
yeah.
hell of a CFR.
Yep.
Um, like
He's right in the mix there too. He had a great season like all across the board.
he's right in the mix. Like I don't know with how much money is in Vegas. I don't know that you can count anybody out, but honestly, I might be just as excited to watch some of the Canadian bucking horses.
Oh, yeah.
Is I think we've got one or two bulls going down, but we got a number of like Calgary Stampede. I don't even know how many they have, 20 or
Yeah,
something.
it's insane. You look at the list of saddle bronc riding horses going down, it's probably more than a third Canadian horses.
Yeah. And like and there is our bronc riding stock list is so deep that there's horses for a couple different horses, I think, that are going to the NFR that couldn't
Mhm.
even crack the CFR roster. So like that's like it's just nuts how spoiled we are with the horses. And I really do attest for that to be one of the reasons our bronc riding's so strong is, oh, you show up in Kennedy, Saskatchewan. Well, here's three NFR horses that you gotta go get on.
Yeah. Hey,
Like, like
any given moment you can have that. It's wild.
yeah,
We're so
there's not
spoiled.
many days off. So
No, no.
there's not too many duck offs where you just go get on the, oh, we're going to be 78 and win $1,000. No, you better bring your britches. So I'm really excited. That's what I'm most excited about. Obviously, we've got Canadian champion Dalton Massey, Canadian champion Haven Medjid.
Hmm.
It's always exciting to watch those people that just finished being crowned Canadian championships or being crowned Canadian champions. But we've got a lot of people that, not just the Canadians, but a lot of people that I'm pretty proud to have as CPRA members
Hmm.
that are rolling into Vegas, whether it's someone who rodeos up here just a little bit or someone who's made the Canadian finals. Um, it's pretty darn cool to watch those guys. And I know the communities in Canada appreciate when they get the best in the world, obviously, regardless of the sport and regardless of the nationality.
Hmm.
I take a lot of pride in people wanting to be a part of the Canadian Pro Rodeo Association. I was always proud to be a member. But obviously you when you see those guys that are and girls that are Canadian champions, you root for them just a little bit harder. And if they've got a maple leaf on their on their birth certificate, maybe even just a little bit hard. I don't want to show my bias, but I'm going to show my bias a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah. It's a Pro Rodeo Canada podcast, so we're allowed to do that. Yeah, it's
I will cheer a little bit louder, but no, it's always exciting. I don't know that Zeke's won any of his four world titles the same way. It's always been different. So
yeah.
it's always fun watching how the stories play out. Obviously, we're gonna watch the bronc riding closer than anything else because,
Hmm.
well, if you run to the bathroom, you're gonna miss three Canadians. So um but yeah, I think it's just really rodeo in Canada and Canadian rodeos in a really good spot. And
Hmm.
these guys and girls that are going to the NFR are really the ambassadors of the quality up here. And
Hmm.
it's exciting to see.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch and tune in for the 10 days. There's gonna be no shortage of excitement, that's for sure. One last thing before I let you go here, Denny. Looking ahead to 2025, I've been meaning to bring this up, but we just signed a partnership with Show Pass to be the exclusive
Yes.
ticketing partner of Pro Rodeo Canada, which is a huge move for us. Really helps out the smaller rodeos to kind of keep things in order and kind of make some moves that way. But what does that mean for rodeo in Canada, and how does that kind of maybe open the door to more people being involved, I guess?
Well, so our partnership with ShowPass, their preferred vendor, and yeah, no, I talked with them quite a bit, and I had a lot of ticketing companies reach out to me,
Hmm.
and I didn't know much about ticketing, so I had to do a lot of research and talk to a lot of people and talk to groups. And ShowPass, they're a Calgary-based company, and lots of positives. They were already working with I think 10 of our rodeos, so they'd been on the ground. They'd like Sundry. They were at the rodeo in Sundry, help like
Hmm.
making sure providing support. Armstrong as well, and a few others, and just seeing them working through them, seeing their passion for their want to Grow Rodeo. They're a Calgary-based company, but also just providing that access. There's a lot of rodeos that they still sell just at their gate. There's long lines. So anything that you can do to alleviate that, and rodeos can choose whoever if they want to ticket with whomever, they can ticket with whoever that,
Mhm.
but just Show Pass kind of has provided a standard level of rates on the customer, and then this level of support. So it's that level of support I'm really excited about. They've since we've signed this deal, my point person, he's now taken on rodeo across North America. So
Mhm.
rather than covering Alberta like he used to, he covers rodeo.
Wow.
So it's just one user, it's one point person, and so he really is going to become. And I talk with him quite regularly, and the fact that he wants to learn about as much about rodeo as possible. I had him at the CFR, and he was just blown away. He'd only been to a couple rodeos in his
Cool.
life, and he's converted now. But I just think it just provides that opportunity, in the rodeos that are going to use Show Pass. We're going to be able to promote their tickets,
Mhm.
have links on our website, stuff like that through the partnership. So I'm hoping that it just makes it easier for the fan.
Yeah.
And if a rodeo still wants to sell tickets at their gate, great, sell tickets at your gate. But hopefully this is just another avenue that um, provides ease of use and gets people through the gate and gets more eyes on our sport of rodeo. That's ultimately the goal of that.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely exciting times. And yeah, 2025 is gonna be awesome, and it's gonna be here before we know
Well,
it, whether we like it or not. It's gonna be great.
well, yeah, and we like, and I do want to take a, I am gonna, this might be the last time we talk this year. We'll see. But I do want to take, like, we've got a lot of great partners, and I just want to great thank you. Like the Precision Rodeo Tour, Precision Drilling, Precision Well Servicing, they came on this year, and we had a 10 rodeo tour of small rodeos,
Mhm.
$1,000 to the winner of the high point earner at each event. That was pretty cool.
Mhm.
Obviously, Show Pass, great partner Wrangler with the judging program. Kailani Coolers, which is they're awesome. They're uh they're a Calgary-based company. You're not going to find a cooler that holds ice any better than that. Drinkware. Troy Fisher Silverworks. He does all our Canadian Championship buckles, all of um, our all that sort of stuff, and just beautiful. I was talking to member Americans, and they're like, "You just have such great craftsmen." And Troy Fisher is just amazing. We've got a lot of great ones. SMS Equipment.
Mhm.
That we're going into year 4 with them already, which seems like it was
That's
yesterday,
crazy.
as
Yeah.
our title partner of our tour. And it's been a really, really great fit. Our really aligned with the customers of SMS Equipment are rodeo fans, and rodeo fans are the customers of SMS Equipment. It's been a great fit
Mhm.
there. Ram Trucks, which has been around for probably longer than I've been alive, longer than we've been alive. It's been
Yeah.
such a great partnership. And then Woody Saddlery, we work with them on all of the Canadian and season leader saddles. Ranchman's Bar. If you've been around rodeo in Calgary, you've been to Ranchman's Bar, and then
Mhm. Mhm.
Enter Smart Building Solutions, Toronto Nutritional. Just we're very, very fortunate, Buckle Vodka, to have a lot of really, really great partners that allow us to do some really cool things and just build on that. And hopefully we can continue to um, provide value, because as fans come into the sport, as the partners come into the sport, and that's really how we grow this opportunity for the Cowboys.
Yeah, 100%. It's without those great partners, that none of this happens, and none of the growth happens too, like we've seen over these past few years, and you touched on earlier. But yeah, Danny, I think that's going to do it for now. We'll try and catch up here before the end of the year and do some number recapping, and one last
Yeah.
say of the nation as we head into 2025. But thanks for the time today. It's been good to catch up, and yeah, we'll be right back with a short round right after this. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the show. Thanks once again, Denny Phipps, for checking in with us. It's always great to hear how things are going through his lens. I know he's a busy guy, and lots happening. And speaking of like big news in the rodeo world, I think the rodeo world was a bit shocked, or it was a big news day once we heard the acquisition of the Cowboy Channel by the Teton Ridge Group, which I think at the end of the day is probably for the better, and one of the biggest moves we've probably ever seen on when it comes to rodeo media production, that type of thing.
Absolutely. And Teton Ridge is definitely an organization that's been growing in scope. And obviously the substantial growth of the Cowboy Channel over the past few years has been a tremendous
Hmm.
benefit to the sport of rodeo. unfortunately, having Patrick Gotch pass away there this past year changed things, I think, for the family. And in the end, I think Teton Ridge obviously made an offer to him that his family believed was in the best interest of the Cowboy Channel and hopefully the Western life and world. Seeing that the Teton Ridge had already kind of signed on with the NFR in a partnership earlier this year, definitely means that they're looking to keep in the rodeo game and keep things rolling. So yeah, it's hopefully kind of helps to bring some more stuff together. I mean,
Yeah, it's
not
not
to
every day
say
you
that
see, it's not every day you see two juggernauts come together, but I think it's going to be
yeah.
a kind of a good combination with the kind of the forward thinking of the Teton Ridge group, and then obviously the expertise that the Cowboy Channel brings on the broadcast side. I think it's just going to be a nice kind of combination, and it's only going to help continue the growth that we've seen in rodeo and rodeo accessibility in the last 3 4 years.
No doubt. I mean it's been interesting when Teton Ridge was kind of trying to do the American on their own and how that kind of media situation was working. So I feel like yeah, you bring together, like you say, that expertise of the Cowboy Channel and all of that media outlet to really expand their operations and yeah, it's you always just with as much as rodeo has really been relying on this, we just hope that they continue, like I said, putting rodeo and the Western way of life at the forefront because in this day and age, the sport has to keep working to compete against other sports, but it also, I think, has to do it its own way.
Mm-hmm.
I always found I was always kind of disappointed with the PRCA after they had went with their partnership with CBS
Mm-hmm.
instead of carrying on with the Great American Channel, or I believe that was the name it was there
RFD-TV
for a
or
while.
whatever.
Well, it was before that,
Oh,
but
okay, I gotcha.
right. So there was, yeah, they had, it seemed like they had a great thing going, and but it just seems like the mainstream sports obviously has worked well with the PBR and everything
Mm-hmm.
like that,
Yeah.
branding. But in terms of rodeo, I found that they became an afterthought thought again. And the Cowboy Channel, I mean, again, you can't take for granted what they have brought to the sport
Mm-hmm.
and just all access, the extra publicity that it's brought in, and thus the sponsorship and the money that's seemingly coming the sport's way. So just an awesome thing, and yeah, hopefully keeps going well.
Yeah, it's a huge move, and yeah, we're excited to see how it all plays out at the end of the day, and I'm sure it'll be a positive one for that matter. But shifting gears a little bit here, Clay. We want to touch on before we wrap up the show on the passing of TJ Baird. Obviously a CFR Canadian legend, rodeo legend at the end of the day, fought bulls all over at the biggest rodeos, biggest events that we've ever seen. And yeah, we tragically gone too soon. And yeah, we're just thinking about him and his family at this time.
Yeah, the name TJ Baird, when you're talking bull riders, bullfighters, just the sport of rodeo. I mean, he was an immense part of the sport for a long period of time. I mean, he was one of the guys that really made the bull like jumping over the barrel over the bull trick really a big thing. And between him and Ryan Byrne, I mean, they kind of ushered in that age of bullfighters of the time and everything. And a lot of people have spoke to just his innate
Mm.
understanding how animals moved and behaved. And obviously, I think a lot of that aspect would come from the family business. I know Bob and TJ and all of them raised a lot of stock. I mean, you go to so many rodeos over the years, and Bob's in the back, mud up to his knees, but not necessarily doing it with a smile on his face all the time, but getting animals taken care of and knowing
Mhm.
what to do with them. And TJ obviously got that from him and took it his own way and definitely left a huge impact on a ton of people
Mhm.
throughout the sport and everything. And I mean, he got more of the positive, smiley attitude from Maxine. I mean, Maxine's worked as many rodeos as Bob over the year in the timer booth and the secretary office. And I I mean, it's just a true rodeo family that we're definitely gonna miss TJ, and it's a hard one for a lot of people to comprehend.
Yeah, one of the coolest things like through all this that like you and I kind of talked off camera, we weren't the closest ever with TJ, but just seeing the impact that he had on so many of the great bullfighters past, present, and just how they made them, how he made them feel in and out of the arena, and how he was committed to growing the sport, and just the continuing impact that there is that he's left on the sport of bullfighting and rodeo in a whole. And yeah, like you say, he'll definitely be missed, and we're thinking of the Baird family. And for those looking to take part in a celebration of life, that'll be held Saturday, November 23rd, or Saturday, November 30th, 2024, at 2 p.m. at the Stettler Agriplex in Stettler, Alberta. So yeah, it's kind of an invite for everybody to get together and celebrate the life of TJ. And there's also been a trust fund set up for the Baird boys, TJ's son, at Vision Credit Union. You can make for in-person contributions at any branch, or you can e-transfer to the Baird family. You can find all the information on the Canadian Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame website and Facebook page. So if I missed anything or you're looking for some exact info, head there and they have everything you need, and you can take part in the celebration of TJ's life. And like I said, we're thinking of their family, thinking of everybody that TJ was close with, and TJ himself. He was great, and his legend will live on for years to come, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And you know, I did see a post that mentioned that with NFR coming up and a lot of people maybe not being able to make the November 30th, the family has spoken to the idea of having another kind of gathering later on. With the loss of TJ, they wanted to have something that helped them to provide a bit of closure at this point for the family and everything. But in terms of knowing the impact that he's had on so many people and just that timing, there are plans for something else on top of that. So good to
and we'll keep you guys posted as we hear stuff on our end. And yeah, stay tuned to the Canadian Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame website and Facebook pages, as well as Canadian Pro Rodeo. We'll be updating via our social media pages and our website just to keep everybody informed on what's happening with that. And I think that's going to do it. Kind of a sad note to end on, Clay, but I mean, it's a good man to honor, and someone who's impacted rodeo as a whole. So I think we'll leave it there for now, and we'll catch up after the Maple Leaf Circuit Finals and before Vegas, and get everybody ready for the big showdown in Las Vegas.
The one thing I think I was going to point out, if it want to turn it around, somewhat tied to TJ's main event that he worked with, was some of the names for those bulls at that first perf tomorrow night are pretty interesting. You got to love a list that includes Slobber Knocker, Smart as a Rock, Smart Donkey, Wonky Donkey.
Yeah, should be a good pen of bulls. Yeah, there's a bunch of good matchups and good bulls, and yeah, it'll be fun. Make sure you tune into that first performance of the Maple Leaf Circuit Finals tomorrow. I think that'll be a good way to kick off this final season, as we'll call it here today. But yeah, we'll check in after the finals, kind of give everybody an update on how everybody did and who took home the big money, and we will get everybody ready for the big show in Las Vegas before things kick off down there. So with that, we'll leave you to it, and we'll catch y'all next time.